So guys, at this point, we all know that people make pretty bad financial decisions, some worse than others, and some people make more bad financial decisions than others, and I figured let's break it down. Let's go over some people's bad decisions financially. Let's dive into it.
These are the 3 biggest financial mistakes I've made so far in my 20s. These are going to be ranked from least to most dumb, and also we're quantifying how much these financial mistakes cost me. Also, mind you, I'm only 24. I still have a lot of time in my 20s to make more financial mistakes, so these are all relative to like my age and my income. My first financial mistake is buying a new-ish car. I'm ranking this as least dumb because at the time it kind of made sense. When I bought my new car, my old car was having a ton of problems. It was breaking down all the time, and I was driving a ton for work. I would drive like almost every week, 5 hours down to West Virginia and 5 hours back. My dad didn't want me to be driving 10 hours a week in a car that was breaking down all the time, and my mileage reimbursement from work covered my car payment, so it definitely made sense when I bought it. But a month after I got that car, I actually quit that job and got a remote job, so my old car would have been totally fine. My car was $19,000, and I probably paid a couple thousand in interest as well. We'll call this like a $24,000 financial mistake. Second is blowing all of my income senior year of college. I did not save even $1 that entire school year, and I was working a lot. My expenses were super low as a college student. I think my rent was like $600 a month, and at the end of the school year, I quantified how much money I made, and it was like close to $25,000, and I completely blew it all. So if you don't think that it's easy to spend that amount of money, you should track your expenses. We'll say that I should have saved at least 20% of my income that year. That's a $5,000 financial mistake. And third, getting a dog with my ex-boyfriend. If you missed this, my ex-boyfriend sued me for $5,000 for my dog when we broke up, making that a $5,000 financial mistake. So in total, my top 3 financial mistakes in my 20s cost me a whopping $34,000.
Holy smokes, man. $5,000. You can sue somebody. I guess that makes sense. You can sue somebody for the dog? Wow. I mean, that makes sense, man. I guess, yeah, don't get a dog with somebody that you're not going to be with long term. I guess that makes sense. And she said blowing all of her income senior year of college. I mean, okay, you're in your senior year. I mean, yes, you should have saved some money, but she was probably having fun, living up a little bit senior year. I understand that. That's not that big of a deal. You're going to work for the rest of your life. You're going to be able to save money hopefully later down the line. So that's not that big of a deal. I would say the biggest mistake by far is buying a newish car, especially since you then got a remote job. I mean, oh man, that's rough. But yeah, not too bad from her, man. Not too bad.
So what was the number one mistake you made financially when you were younger?
Overspending, buying my friends all the drinks that they wanted, and
I
using
drink a lot of them.
How do you think so many people spend money on in your opinion?
They want to live for the moment. They don't think about the future. And that's the scary thing about it. If you look at the average savings of people that are this age, in their 30s, their 20s, and even their 40s, it's a cataclysm that's about to happen.
Your priorities when you're younger are chasing women or partying with your friends, and you're not really thinking about saving for your first house and the future. So
let me ask you this. What are 3 things you learn about money that you can tell the youth?
Well, first of all, compounding money, how it works, right? Number 1. Number 2, if you buy a piece of property, it is only going to appreciate. There's going to be ebbs and flows, ups and downs. That's the way it works. You stick with it, you will be successful in the process. And number 3 is pay yourself first. The richest man in Babylon, written pre-Christ days, said, pay the king, but make sure you pay yourself. And if you don't do that, you will struggle the rest of your life just to make ends meet. I want to have the peace of being able to say, I don't want to work anymore. And thank God I did at a young age. Bought my first house at 26. And I own 9 houses now.
Boom. That guy on the right especially, although he does seem a little saucy, guys. He's probably a bit drunk in this video. I don't know. But I don't think he's that saucy. But he's right. Either way, the guy is freaking right, man. And I can tell both of these guys have some money. You know, I could just tell by looking at these guys. They're not like billionaires or that crazy status. But I can tell. I mean, he said he has 9 homes. Even before he said that, I can tell he's got some money, right? The guy on the right. And I'm sure the bald guy on the left has some money as well for sure. But that's great advice, guys. That is phenomenal advice right there. And the truth is, guys, a lot of people make those type of mistakes, right? When they're young, in their 20s, right? The first guy said, you know, buying the drinks at the bar, you know, for all the boys, all the friends. Yeah, that's going to add up. Bad financial decisions, guys. Don't do that. Maybe once in a while, but not all the time. Don't make that a habit, and get your money working. Compound interest, baby. Let's go.
What's one bad financial decision you regret making in your life?
Buying a house with someone that I wasn't going to end up with.
Oh, wait, actually, yeah, how did that work out?
Oh, it didn't. So, no, I mean, I think that I bought my first house at 25 and I wasn't really educated in it. I think it's very smart. Like, don't get into investments that you're not educated on. Like, make sure you're doing your research and don't just, if someone's like, oh, don't worry, I'm educated on it, trust me, like, definitely do your own research, definitely get multiple opinions, and don't just trust people because you never know what knowledge they know and they don't know. And
right. Okay,
yeah.
That's actually good. And then if I were to give you $100,000, what would you do with it?
Oh my gosh, $100,000. I would invest most of it and, give some to charity and, like, help people out that has helped me along the way.
Okay, and as far as investing, what would you invest it in?
Real estate?
Real estate?
Yeah, I mean, interest rates are going down, so.
You seen that, right?
Yeah. So I would say real estate's definitely something that's always gonna, be a good thing to put your money in, but you have to be educated on it.
Right.
But definitely like stocks, like just doing small things over time with stocks. That's like, I don't really like Bitcoin. I don't really, I don't know much into it, but I think that's like something that everyone's like, oh, I should get into it, but it's like,
Okay.
I don't know.
So yeah, that's a great mistake to learn from, right? Buying a house with somebody that you're not going to be with long term, that's a terrible idea, much worse than earlier in the video, that other girl, she bought, a dog with her boyfriend or whatever, right? That they weren't going to be together long term, or they ended up breaking up, whatever. Yeah, I'm very much on the same page there with Dave Ramsey in the sense that I would never buy a home with anybody that I'm not married to, right? My wife and I, we're married now, and we're going to buy a home at some point soon here. But, if we weren't, or when we weren't married, we weren't looking at doing that. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the, in the camp of never buy a house with somebody that you're not going to be married to or not married to at the time, right? So keep that in mind.
I really ruined myself financially in my 20s. Here's why. In my 20s, I had, oh God, do I have some poke bowl sauce on my beard? Anyways, in my 20s, I really had no concept of personal finance. I thought that my main goal was to increase my salary and I would be okay. Needless to say, I was a bit of a dumbass. There was a point, I think in my 20s, my savings, like my total savings. Luckily, I was good with contributing to my 401k because my mom kept getting on my case about it. I was like, oh, fine, fuck it, I'll put money into my 401k. But that was actually really good because that was one good financial habit that I did do. But my savings rate, what I'm trying to get to is my savings account, and I'm just kind of blabbering at this point. It never exceeded around, I would say, $12,000 because I would usually spend it, and I had no concept. I had no long-term vision of where do I want to be. So, long story short is I had savings, my career was going up, I made more money, but my spending also went up. So this is mistake number 2 is lifestyle creep. Mistake number 1 is not actually saving enough money or just keeping my savings at a set amount. So by the time I became 27, I wanted to start my own business because I was tired of corporate America. I want to be free, all this shit. I actually ended up at 44K in debt. And then from 2019, now I'm in my 30s, right? I spent around 2 years just paying off that debt. So that's mistake number 3, if I'm counting correctly. It's getting into heavy debt. And to this day, like my net worth is, I'm not going to reveal it on this channel or on this account, but I'm definitely a few $100,000 below what it could have been had I been a lot more smart in my 20s. Like, I'm not going to cry over not investing and buying Bitcoin when it was a few $100 each or $1,000 each, like in 2016 or 2015. But I will say that I made a lot of dumb financial mistakes in my 20s. Luckily, the good thing that I did do was I did max out my 401k, which has had pretty good returns at this moment. You never know. But at least I did that right. But to really recap, I got into heavy debt. I didn't save past a certain fixed amount. I also had lifestyle creep. These are 3 things that I would say if you're younger, or even right now, if you're in your 30s or 40s, don't fall into that trap, because you could be actually giving up hundreds of thousands of dollars down the road. So learn from my mistakes. Sometimes, honestly, I just feel this pressure in life because I'm not where I want to be financially. That's more of a mindset thing. But I would also say in my 20s, I did kind of mess up a little bit, and learn from my mistakes and, don't repeat them, and you will be in a much better financial position in your 30s versus where I am right now.
So that was a bit of a longer one there, guys, and I wanted it to play out all the way without interruptions because, man, that guy was, spitting facts. I mean, and honestly, he's in a great place financially now. I mean, he kind of alluded that he has hundreds of thousands of dollars right now, and he would have a lot more if he didn't make these mistakes. But it seems like they turned him and shaped him into the man he is today financially. So he's fine. He's actually doing very well if he has a couple $100,000 in his early mid-30s. Statistically speaking, that's great. But, man, that was a longer clip there, but he really laid out a lot of financial mistakes there that a lot of people, I'm sure, can relate to. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And by the way, guys, make sure to subscribe.
One of the biggest financial mistakes that I made in my 20s. I do not want you to make this like me because I thought I was doing things right. No, I was doing things so wrong. There are people saying you want to have an emergency fund, you want to have savings. So I took that very literally. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have an emergency fund. I'm going to have savings. And I worked so hard. I worked so hard to save up all this money. And guess what I did? I just racked up debt while saving money. I had so much money on high interest credit cards, yet I had so much money in savings, and I was like, good job. You're crushing it. The correct order, I would say, that I have learned now is to, yes, have an emergency fund. That is still very important. Have something where if life throws something crazy your way, you have an emergency fund to fall back on. An emergency fund number is going to look different for everybody based on your expenses. But once you have that emergency fund, pay off your debt. Pay off your debt. Don't just keep racking up more debt while you keep saving more money, because what are you saving that money for? You need to be paying off your debt, because when you have so much debt, what you're doing, especially on high interest cards, is you're paying more money every single month because of the high interest. While I was out there thinking I was crushing the savings game, all I was doing was adding more debt to my name. That is something I wish I could take back. I wish I could go back into my 20s and not rack up so much debt while just having a savings account that I wasn't touching, that I was just looking at like, you're cute. Emergency fund, then pay off your debt, then start thinking about more savings.
Yeah, she's right. She's right. And that's a great way, or a great place rather, to wrap things up. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have a bunch of credit card debt at 20%, 25%, but then you have a bunch of savings as well, earning what, like 3-4% now in this interest rate environment if you go with a high yield savings account. So yeah, I mean, guys, don't focus on saving up money until your debt is freaking gone. And if you have a credit card, you use a credit card every month, make sure you pay off the balance at the end of each month. So, guys, with that being said, let me know your biggest financial mistake in the comments. I'm curious. Make sure to hit the like button on this video and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subs. And with that being said, guys, cheers. I'll catch you in the next video.